1, 2, 3, action!
1, 2, 3, action! 1, 2, 3, action! 1, 2, 3, action! 1, 2, 3, action!
Okay, now we're at phase 2 of our video where we're going to be talking about the personal protective equipment required to apply AF36 as well as the machinery to apply AF36. And we have with us today Blue Iera from Paramount Farming, and we're very grateful, Blue, that you are here today. And we also thank Linda and Stuart Resnick for bringing not only Blue but also the necessary equipment to help execute this video. So Blue, we have our AF36 wheat seed here, and then in addition to that we have the personal protective equipment. The label says right here that it requires goggles. You need the goggles to properly apply a
N95.
1095 and N95 mist respirator, standard herbicide gloves, and your typical tie-back suit or a pair of coveralls. And that is the personal protective equipment. And we have with us today Daniel, also from Paramount Farming. And Daniel's going to be our driver, and we were going to have him suited up and show you what the personal protective equipment looks like. All right, and here we have Daniel. He's all suited up and ready to go for his AF36 application. Notice that he has on his gloves, the tie-back suit, the mist respirator, the goggles. And they also have a helmet, which we recommend for the use of your ATV driver. And you'll also see in the video that Paramount also requires that they wear an orange vest.
Yes, what the Bob say about safety, we always worry about to take care of our employees, and this is what we give them extra: the helmet, beanie, and also the vest. Okay, that way people can see them, because I mean we have some small four-wheelers, and they go to the end, and people can easy to see them. And make sure this is a piece of equipment. Just train the people and document it. This is our priority. Yes, safety first.
All right, now we have the actual machinery required for application. And this is a standard ant bait spreader. This particular model is made by Casco, and it is model GT77 broadcast seeder, made by Herd, H-E-R-D, and distributed through Costco. It's a very simple machine. We're going to demonstrate the application of the insertion of the wheat seed to show that there's not a lot of dust associated with this naturally occurring product that Dr. Klein talked about in the earlier part of the video. This bait spreader is then electrically activated by this switch right here. Notice also that the electrical attachment is relatively simple. I'm going to follow it back here to the battery, and Blue and his crew have simply spliced into the battery system here underneath the seat in order to be able to activate the switch from the driver's seat, which is done like so. So this is what you have to get organized, have to set this machinery up in order to put on the application. You see that Paramount Farming has come up with their own basic bracketry in order to support the spreader. The spreader is geared up for the application of 10 pounds per acre, but as it's been mentioned by Dr. Klein, this year we're applying 10 pounds per acre every other row, which is the equivalent of 5 pounds per acre broadcast. So keep that in mind. The setting that you use on your bait spreader will depend on your spacing and how fast you travel. But typically the speed of travel is somewhere between 7 and 10 miles per hour. And as Daniel is pouring the AF36, just note that there's not a lot of dust associated with this product. Drive the ATV down the side of the tree row next to the berm so that the seed is being distributed by this chute onto the berm area where the water is applied, because the seed has to then be so-called activated into the molding process by the application of irrigation water on top of the wheat seed.
And then the other thing, you guys have to look for the spacing of the rows, okay? That way you can calibrate it first, because I mean they got so many different spacings. You got 17s, you got 19s, you got 22s, and you got 24s, even 28s. So we have to calibrate it so you guys can put the right amount.
And that may require a little trial and error, so be sure and get it calibrated properly first, because you're obviously limited in how much material you have. Blue, good comment, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're ready for Daniel. Okay, so now we have the AF36 spread, and if you look here on the ground next to our fan jet emitter, you can see the wheat grains fairly evenly distributed within the berm area, and this berm area will now have the water applied on top of the wheat seed, which will then cause the wheat seed to begin to mold, creating the naturally occurring AF36, which is the antigenic form of Aspergillus flavus that then reduces the amount of aflatoxin in the pistachio orchard.
What we'll be seeing here is the watering that needs to be done after application of the product on the berms. To get sporulation of the AF36 colonized wheat seed, you need to have the product get moist. Otherwise, it's not going to sporulate. Applications out into the row middles doesn't do you any good. It needs to be in that wetted zone. Now, of course, not all the berm gets wetted all the time, and so some of the product that's on the berm won't get wetted. Other spots will get quite wet, and so some of it won't sporulate because it's still too dry on the berm. Other spots will sporulate, and finally other spots won't sporulate because it'll be too wet. But don't worry about that. You just need to make the applications on the berm where you have the micro sprinklers or the drips. If you're one of those rare growers who has flood irrigation, that you need to apply probably out in the middle of the row where you're going to have irrigation water to get the product wet.
Our thanks also to Andrew Molinar, who was the cameraman and editor and producer of the video. Andrew is a staff research associate with the University of California at Riverside. So Andrew, thank you very much for making this video possible.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, so there you have it. On behalf of the California Pistachio Research Board and Dr. Bob Klein and myself, Bob Beatty, UC Farm Advisor in Kings County, and Blue, Spray Operations Manager from Paramount Farming, and all of the support that he's had, we want to thank Paramount Farming and Linda and Stuart Resnick for their support of this video, and we hope that you've found it sufficiently informative that you too now can go out and use AF36 for the benefit of the industry. We wish you happy farming.